A very warm welcome to all our viewers. Welcome to Sentinel's Newsmakers. We have been having discussions. We have been talking about the present education scenario. We have been talking about the online classes, how our children have been faring, the problems that they have been facing. Today's show, we are specifically going to focus on the issue of the impact of online classes on the physical and mental health of our children. Of course, what appears to each one of us is that in the months to come, online classes are going to be there. Online classes is going to stay on for some time longer. Therefore, maybe it is high time for us to look at, is there an alternate to online classes? If not, then how to strike that right kind of balance between educating our children as well as helping them with their health, a healthy well-being, as far as their mental and physical well-being is concerned, how to strike that right balance there. So all of these issues are what we are going to talk about today. And to do that, I have some of the brightest minds from the education space of Guwahati. Joining me today on the show is Dr. BANASHREE BARDALAI. She is with the Department of Political Science and Social Sciences, SANSKRITI, the GURUKUL, Guwahati. Welcome, Dr. BANASHREE, to the show one more time. Also joining me today is MEHERISHRAT AMIN. She is the teacher, TGT, Department of Economics and Social Sciences, DPS Guwahati. Meher, welcome one more time. Both ladies joining me for the second time. Very nice to have you both on board once again. Also, I would like to welcome Dr. MRIDUSMITA DATTA. She is the PGT Biology with the Royal Global School, Guwahati. Welcome to the show, MRIDUSMITA. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Pleasure. And there's Dr. RASHMI BARUAH. She is the Associate Professor, Business Management, USTM. Welcome to the show, Dr. RASHMI BARUAH. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. And to talk about our, to address the concerns as far as the mental health of our children are concerned and the stress they are going through, I have with us today on the show Dr. Sangeeta Datta. She is the consultant psychiatrist. Sangeeta, thank you so much for joining. Welcome to Newsmakers one more time. Pleasure. But before I open the discussion, let's go across to few of our students, few of our children. Let's hear it from them. What do they have to say as far as the online classes are concerned? Let us first go across to Kolkata. I will be joined by Birina Lihir Hatkwa. She is a class 5 student. She is a 5th standard student. She is with the GD Birla Center for Education, Kolkata. Hi, Birina. Welcome to the show. Hi, thank you so much for joining me today. So, having a lot of fun at home now that there's no school? Or are you missing your friends?
I am.
You're missing your friends? You're missing, yeah?
Initially, it was fun, but as days are passing by and the lockdown is getting extended, it is getting really boring.
Really? And you're missing your teachers as well?
Yes.
All right. Birina, tell us something about the online classes that you all are doing now. What do you think about these classes? Are you happy? Do you feel that you are learning a lot now sitting at home doing the online classes, or you prefer the earlier, physical classes, your school?
I prefer the physical classes.
Okay. Why so?
Because during the online classes, due to network issues, sometimes you can't join the class and it becomes really difficult to cope up with the class. And if we have queries, the teacher can ask only few of us because there is a time limit, and after that, the class gets disconnected.
Okay. All right. Now, another thing, Birina, I would want to know from you, you have classes of up to 40, 45 minutes, right? So do you think,
Yes.
doing these classes back to back, are these really maybe hurting your eyes? Do you get exhausted? Are you facing any such problem?
No, I am not, but few of my friends, my
Yeah.
classmates are, because they already have eye problems, so
Okay.
it's hard for them.
All right. All right. Thank you so much, Birina, for joining us. Would you like to share anything else?
I'd like to thank all my teachers. They are always with us, and also thank them for teaching us mm, how to
Yeah.
adapt with new situations.
All right. Okay. All the best. And thank you once again for joining me on the show. Take care,
Thank
Birina
you for
Didi.
having me.
Pleasure. Okay. Okay, now let's bring in Ananya Count. She's a 12th standard student she's with Royal Global School Guwahati. Hi Ananya, thank you so much for joining me. So Ananya,
Hi,
give
ma'am. Good evening.
us hi, evening. Give us your perspective as a student of class 12. What are your thoughts? What do you think about this whole online classes? And you're very much aware of the discussions that's been going on around this whole thing, this new thing, kind of new thing that all of you are handling at this point of time. Your thoughts, Ananya?
Ma'am, I think at the end of the day, whatever we feel, if this is to be the new normal, we may as well adapt sooner than later. And of course, in the beginning, a lot of us were facing a lot of issues, be it missing that physical connect with teachers or with classmates. But at this point of time, because it's been so many months, I think we've fairly settled into the entire atmosphere.
Okay. And also, as far as the class hours and all these things are concerned, you are pretty much settled into that format.
At this point, yes, and I think that it helps to have shorter class hours because then you do get to take some time off for yourself in between. So, yes, I think we're adjusting pretty well as of now, even for those who were facing issues related to network and all of that. They're pretty much coming around at this point.
Okay, do you think that these online classes are helping you concentrate better? Are you learning better compared to a physical classroom?
Ma'am, I think personally I would be more biased towards a physical classroom, but that's only because I've spent so many years surrounded by that kind of in that sense. But right now, again, we have to adapt. So I don't think I'd say that we're not learning as much. Of course, we are, in all thanks to whatever effort the teachers are putting in as well. So
Right,
we are learning, but I would personally still prefer a physical classroom if given the opportunity.
right. And why would you say so? Why do you prefer the physical one to the online one?
Well, I think for even simple reasons such as being able to interact with your teacher
Hmm.
in flesh, I think
Yeah,
that goes to say a lot. And even with your peers, your classmates, your friends, you have that circle that you're so well accustomed to that sitting at home away from all these people, you crave that sense of belongingness, I think.
right.
So, which
And
is
that's
why I would prefer it.
right. So basically, what you're saying is that being amongst your teachers and your friends physically gives you that emotional comfort also, and you get to
Yes, of
learn
course.
better, right? Yes. All right.
Yes.
Thank you, Ananya. Thanks for joining me today. Thank you so much. All right. So let us now go back to our panel. Of course, we will be joined by one more student later in the course of the show. Let us just get all our panelists back on screen. All of them up there. So, of course, some good news, in fact, to start our show today with. Of course, I'm sure all of you are aware about the Human Resource Development Ministry's guidelines that has come in just yesterday, the Pragyata guideline, where they have capped the hours there. So as far as the guideline goes for classes 1 to 8, what the ministry has suggested is two sessions of 45 minutes each. And for classes 9 to 12, it is 30 to 45 minutes sessions. Now, what do you think? I would like to start with Dr. BANASHREE Bardalai. What do you think about these guidelines? Do you think some of whatever concerns that we have been having will get addressed now?
Good evening, Miss Ojah. Thank you for having me once again. So first of all, I would like to reflect myself that the whole purpose of education is to turn mirrors into windows. That means the virtual world is an obstacle actually, and we want that that obstacle to be turned into a reality. But we are adapting to the online education out of compulsion, not out of choice. So that is our compulsion. So we have to go through it. And I'm very happy when the students told their the view of the education world. So they are also missing the physical classroom.
Yes.
And in a way, yesterday's this thing where I was so happy to see when the morning newspaper, when Pragyata was announced, where somehow down the line, we were also a little worried about our students because they were psychologically bugged down. They were having issues like eye problems and all, long sitting hours. Although we were having 20 minutes in between is a different issue. But this is a very good welcoming impact for our education world. And if all of us can sit together and come to a solution where we can time our timetables properly, that will be a very positive impact. Because for class 12s also, they have come up to at least 9 to 12. They've come up a maximum of 3 hours. Of course, we teachers have to work a lot to make it possible, both online, offline, that thing. But in a way, it is very good for the students' perspective, from their perspective. So it is a very welcoming impact for us.
Right. Dr. Smita Datta, so these new guidelines will get implemented. Is it effective immediately? How is it going to roll out?
Okay, thank you for inviting me in this panel once again. We were really happy to go through the guidelines yesterday, and that I'm privileged to be associated with an institution whose leaders, especially our principal ma'am, is a visionary leader. Because our pre-primary and grade 1 classes, they are already having 2 sessions per day. And secondly, the middle class, we are having the middle school, we are having 4 sessions, but out of that, 1 session is allotted every day for, for activities and yoga or exercise. And for seniors, it's true, we have 4 online sessions, but at the same time, 40 minutes of session with a break of 20 minutes in between. So we were really happy to see that our system, whatever we have chosen, whatever ma'am and management has decided, is really complying with the Ministry of Human Resource Development guidelines. So we were happy. And regarding the impact of these online classes, of course, we know there is an underlying effect on health. So we are really very mindful and about the 3 aspects of health, that how it is affecting the physical, emotional, and even the social aspect of the health. Because we all know these are the 3 aspects that we deal with related to health. So what we have decided and how we do is, in pre-primary, like the teachers are very sensitive. They start the class with prayers, and then they give enough time within that session to interact with the students so that the students can share their emotions, whatever they are feeling being at home. And the teaching pedagogy that they are following involves lot of total physical response. I mean, lot of activity based learning, so that they are comfortable, they adapt well gradually, and we are not much worried. We are concerned, but we are not much worried about about the academics right now with the pre-primary and all. So we are focusing more on the soft skills, the life skills, that you raise your hands, you answer, you interact, so that they are comfortable. And of course, at last but not the least, we have to see that they gradually learn it. But we are more focusing on their how they adapt with the stress. And due to all these factors like eyes and all, of course, that 20 minutes break is helping us a lot, stress. And at the same time, we keep on telling them, motivating them about different guidelines. Like one is a very simple
Dr.
guideline.
Smita, I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you. I will, then you can elaborate on the rest of it, how exactly you people are going about helping the children cope up with the stress, as well as ensuring mental and physical well-being of the children. Meher, what are your thoughts Now, last time around we had real in-depth discussion. This time also we are trying to focus on, striking that right balance while educating, taking care of our children, which is why we have Dr. Datta or Dr. Sangeeta Datta also on the show, so that she can share, she can give us some of those most needed, valuable tips at this point of time for teachers, for students, for parents, everybody. So, but before I go to Dr. Datta and also to Dr. Barua there, the associate professor, Meher, what are your thoughts at this point of time? These guidelines coming in, do you think it's at least going to, take a little bit of the stress off the children as well as the
Yeah,
teachers?
yeah, it's a welcoming guideline, definitely. All right. And then, like, as Dr. Mridusmita had already mentioned, like our schools, like her school, our schools also are almost in keeping with the guidelines that has been issued now. All right.
Right.
But yes, there are certain nitty-gritties to be worked out, and then we will, in the process, in due course of time, will be coming out with the new policies which are going to be according to the guidelines issued, right? According if you ask me regard striking a balance between mental health and social physical health, everything, all right, how do we cope up with that? How are we trying to organize our classes
Yeah.
on those lines? So see, stress is something, yes, it is inbuilt, it is there in an online class, both for a student as well as a teacher. If you take from a student's point of view, as one of the child, she had rightly mentioned, there are so many network issues. This is one logistic problem that we are facing. All right, network issue is one problem. You are
Right.
in the class and suddenly the network gets disrupted and you're out of it, and you totally miss track of what is happening in the class, right? And then by the time you enter, or the class almost gets over. So these are certain stressful things for a child when a child is attending an online class, which does not
Right.
happen in a physical class. Absolutely does not happen that way, right? And for a teacher, again, the stress, what will happen if the child will not be able to come back to the class, and what if my instructions go haywire? It's not going
Right.
to the child, right? So that is a
Yes.
stress built up on the teacher. So these are stress building situations that we face in an online class. To cope up with that, again, like as I said, we record the classes and then we
Yeah.
have it there. And for a mental balance, right? Because mentally, yes, being confined to those four walls of the room, to that houses, where a child, they have they are supposed to have wings to fly now, right? So they are students and they are restricted within those confines.
Right.
So it is
Yes.
it is having a very negative impact on the mental health, in a
Yes.
way that they are not being able to interact physically especially with their
Yes.
with their classmates, their friends. So there is no venting out of those emotions. They are very friendly. The peer interaction is missing.
It's
All
missing.
right.
Right.
So
Right.
for that, what we can do, like what we try to do, is that in our online classes we try to add a personal touch. Like take out some time where we interact, like what have you done this today, and then all the children, they will come up with their inputs, and this is how, there is a kind of a light atmosphere created where we have a personal touch, personal interactions, and then they come up with all their day-to-day activities and everything, and they share and they feel lighter. So this is how
All
we are
right.
trying to, in a way, trying to strike a balance.
Right. But before I go to Dr. Rashmi Barua, because I have a whole, different set of queries for you, because you are handling slightly senior students as well. So there's a lot going on in the US as well, with all those online classes, the Trump administration coming up with a new set of rules and regulations. There are quite a few things I would like to discuss with you. But before I come to you, I would like to go to Dr. Sangeeta Datta. Sangeeta, you've heard the two kids there, and also you are very well aware of what most of the parents' concerns have been in the past few days since online classes have started. Like Meher also mentioned, and Ananya also mentioned that Ananya is the student who was there initially in the beginning of the show. She said that she's missing her friends, that being with the teachers and the friends together and learning together. So a lot of things that kids now are having to go through. So, what do you think, could be the solution to most of these things as far as the mental stress particularly is concerned? Okay, Sangeeta, you'll have to unmute your mic. Yeah.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, sorry about that.
No?
So, like the two kids in the beginning of this show, they have been very open about how sad they have been not being able to go to their physical, to their classrooms physically. I think most children these days, they're not happy with their online classes if they compare it to the previous traditional kind of, classroom classes that they used to have. But the point here is that we cannot compare the both. We cannot compare the two. Because as someone rightly said, online classes is a need of the hour now. It is not a choice, it is a compulsion. Looking at the current scenario of COVID-19, lockdown, etc., etc., we have to resort to online classes if we have to keep this learning process, continuously, the learning process active. Otherwise, learning stops there, because for even very young children, or for even high schoolers, or let's say even people who are going to college, they will need to learn something every day. Otherwise, they lose contact with their curricular studies. So that's how we have to understand that here we cannot compare between what is better, between online classes and physical classes. Definitely going to physically to classrooms is always better for children, because it emphasizes on the holistic development of children. When we talk about holistic development of children, it is not just about learning something curricular. It's about interacting with their friends, classmates. It's about learning social skills. It's about learning conflict resolution skills, because when you meet people, you will have conflicts. Then you will learn how to, resolve conflicts, also how to create a win-win situation. It teaches you to be emotionally intelligent. It teaches you assertiveness skills. It teaches you problem-solving skills. Because when we talk about life skills, we have to understand that students learn life skills mostly when they go to schools and colleges, because it is there that they interact with people and they learn how to they learn all their coping strategies and life skills there. Now, learning life skills is also a part of learning, apart from the curricular studies. Now, as I said, that it is a need of the hour, so we have to, earlier we adapt, or children learn to adapt to the new normal. I would call it the new normal. The better. The more we don't accept it, the more we don't adapt to it, the more frustrated we'll be, the more stressed out we'll be. Now, when we talk about health, WHO's World Health Organization has defined health in four areas. Sorry, they say that health is a state of complete physical, mental, social, and spiritual well-being, and not merely the absence of any disease or infirmity. Which means that not having a physical problem does not mean that I'm physically healthy. It is a sense of well-being which is necessary for me to actually be healthy. Now, when it comes to online classes, as two panelists have rightly mentioned this, they said that physical health is getting impaired, emotional health is getting impaired, and so also social health is getting impaired. Now, with these three areas getting impaired, I think somewhere even spiritual health does get impaired somewhere. So now when I talk about physical health, because of the online classes, of course, with the new guidelines coming in, things are going to change for the better, I'm sure. And I'm very happy to know that some of the institutes in Guwahati, they're already following the guidelines, which is making learning child friendly also. But having said that, nowadays with online classes, lifestyles are getting more sedentary, which mean that children are having more of eye strain, not because of the online classes per se, also because children are now spending a lot of time, not only in online class, not only for online classes, otherwise also they're getting almost addicted to the internet. So internet addiction is a new problem that I have been seeing of late. More of internet classes, online classes. Now, once the classes are over, ideally they should get offline and they should get busy with other activities in their lives. But some of the students somehow, they now, after they finish with their classes, they go for online games or they go for YouTube videos, etc. Which means that online classes, maybe 4 classes in a day will not lead to eye strain per se. But if they're abusing the internet, because they are more exposed to the internet, they're getting eye strain, they're having backache because of their sedentary lifestyle, and some of them are even having problems of obesity, etc. So that is,
Right.
their sleep problems are there. Apart
Dr.
from that, the
Sangeeta,
emotional
there's,
issues are there. They're stressed out,
right.
they're depressed, they're
There's a
anxious.
query. Dr. Sangeeta, there's a query that has come in. What
Yes.
are your views? What are your views regarding today's directive by the Human Resource Development Ministry, reducing the overall screen time for students? This is Debargha Roy who has written in. So this question I will pose to the rest of my panelists as well. So Dr. Sangeeta,
I'm
what are your
very happy about it. In one
yeah.
in one word, I'm very happy about it. We need to reduce this total amount of time that we spend online on
Yeah.
screen, because that will lead to some amount of reduction of eye strain, and more importantly, it is also going to reduce our sedentary lifestyle also to some extent. But there's a
Right.
request also to all these students that apart from online classes, please try to stay active physically, because apart from online classes, if you spend time on the internet also for your gaming, or for watching YouTube videos or activities like that, that way you are going to put more stress on yourself, both physically and emotionally. Please avoid
Right.
that.
Right. I'll come back to you, Dr. Sangeeta.
Sure,
Let's
sure.
bring Dr. Rashmi Barua in. Dr. Barua, how have you all been handling this whole digital divide issue? Because, of course, the other schools also, but USTM has a lot of students who are from really far-flung areas. So, how have you managed to handle this particular issue?
Okay. Good evening, everyone. First of all, I would like to say thank you to Ms. Ojah for inviting me here and giving me the chance to talk in this forum. And as we know that, from the second week of March, when government across the country began shutting down schools, colleges, universities temporarily as a measure to contain the spread of this COVID-19, it was supposed to be for 2 weeks or for a month. But now there is no certainty when they will be open. So, beginning of teachers were slightly confused, like we are not knowing how to go ahead because we are not so tech savvy. We are not knowing the methodologies regarding, that teaching, learning, online teaching, learning, and assessment and evaluation process. But of course, our administration, especially the chancellor, has guided us, and in fact, they have sent all of us for the online training. In fact, we have recently gone for that. MHRD has sponsored one training, which is like related to MOOCs and Moodle and all. Even though we are going through this Google Classroom and all, there are some better online, things are there. So MOOCs and all, Moodle and all, we have gone for that. And if I talk about the students, almost 90% students are they're happy with the connectivity. Of course, we are having 10% students who are not very happy with the connectivity. We are having that. But if you see now in India, we cannot ignore online learning because that statistics says almost 285 million young learners are there in India. And it's a huge population. And out of that, 60% of people are staying in the rural areas. But again, out of that, 85% of students or the parents, they are having smartphone nowadays. So, of course, that 10-15% people are there suffering. So, other than that, other people are somehow coping up with the situation. But what we feel, we as a teachers will have to really think all the things from student perspective also, because if you see that Kerala incidents in this particular 3 months from the 25th of March, 66 students have committed suicide because they were not happy with the online teaching. They couldn't cope up with that online learning. However, if you see in Kerala, only 35 people died due to COVID. So in fact, students
so this,
who have
so these figures, Kerala and even closer home in Tripura, there were a couple of deaths because they couldn't get the smartphone. So all these things. So how do all of you think that these things can be addressed? Do you think that Meher, I'll come to you first with this question. Do you think that there's no alternative to online classes at this point of time? What are your thoughts? Because by now, I'm sure each one of you, each of your institutes must have started thinking on these lines. There are certain segment, maybe just barely 5% or maybe 10% of your students must be from the underprivileged section of the society or from really remote areas. So, what has the thinking been now? Meher, to you first.
Uh, all right, I take the question. Only thing is that like most of our students, they are from this area itself, from Guwahati itself. So that way, that divide as we are talking about, that way we do not experience that much in our institution. But then there are certain students who have been staying in our hostels, so they are from remote areas like Arunachal, where of course there are network issues, there are many issues of that sort. So yes, there is brainstorming going on regarding how to bridge that gap, how to include them in this education system that we have devised as of now, right? So of course today it is the need of the hour, as everybody is saying. We do not see any other alternative in the near future. Yes, I hope the Russia's announcements regarding the vaccine holds good. We are all, we are keeping our fingers crossed. We are that is the way we can come back to physical classes. As I mentioned in the previous session as well, that like a vaccine only can bring back physical classes. That is my opinion. Today is the need of the hour. We have no other option. All right. And then like as you are talking, we are more focusing on mental health today. So it is if I talk about teachers, the stress here, you can teachers, it is not that the teachers are only into classes. There is a constant battle that is going within a teacher, how to rope in all the students and get them the rightful education, how to give your best and see that education is actually it is being fruitful, right? And then there is a brainstorming day in and day out. There is a brainstorming that is going on within you to come up with better ways, better devices, better alternatives, right, in these online classes only. And as for students, there is a boredom build-up, as the students they have already mentioned, children they have mentioned. There is a boredom build-up because they are not being able to come out every day as they are coming out for a school. There are so many life skills, as doctor had mentioned. There are so many life skills which are learned in the process, which is missing in an online class. No matter how much we try to give those personal touches, we try to involve them in physical activities, we try to give them all required emotional support. Yet that personal touch, that physical activity, or you say that environment cannot be created in an online class. Today, it is the need of the hour. We have to go about it. Only thing what we can do is that do all the brainstorming, come out with better ways, so that we can bring them in a better way. We can rope them in and make them more proactive in the entire system. That is what I think can be done.
Right.
At the moment.
Dr. Sangeeta, what would you suggest? What would your advice be in coping with the kind of stress that our children are going through at this point of time? And also, this whole, because they are away from their friends, how much can you talk over the phone, or how much of video calls can you do with your friends? It's never going to suffice. So what are your suggestions there?
What I would say here, but before I go to this, I have myself come across students who have, in fact, the parents of such students who are not so privileged. They used to call me up at my clinic, and they used to ask me like, ma'am, what do? We don't have a smartphone at home. We never had one, and we don't even have internet connectivity. So what do we do? Because our children keep on fighting for the whole day with us, saying that we don't have this, we need this now. And we have also come across instances where students have actually committed, they have ended their lives by committing suicide because they didn't have a smartphone or they did not have the network connectivity. And they thought that if they are left behind like this, so somewhere, their future will be very bleak and it's better to die. So I've come across such instances, and I have spoken to parents who actually have faced this situation also. My suggestion to them was, for such families, it is, and for others also, it is very important to focus on what we have. If they don't have a smartphone, maybe they can make a call to their teacher, and if the teacher can help them, actually guide them, maybe not to the extent that online class would help them, but at least help them and guide them in continuing with their studies at home. Maybe they can speak to their friends, etc. But it's very important for policymakers now to, like ma'am was talking about brainstorming, to actually plan things out properly, so that when we talk about right to education tomorrow, even if it's 1 or 2% of people who are deprived, they must not be deprived. They should at least have a smartphone, or they should have network connectivity, because this situation is going to stay with us for some time, maybe for the next few months or a year or so. So I think along with other essential commodities, having a smartphone, or for that matter, network connectivity, will also be considered to be an essential facility or commodity in the near future. So that is one thing. Apart from that, how to manage the stress part, stress in children, in students. What is very important for us is that we need to talk to our children of different ages according to an age and developmentally appropriate, in an age and developmentally appropriate manner, as to what COVID-19 is all about. Why lockdown is essential, why following the protocol of different rules and regulations, like keeping your hands sanitized or wearing a mask or maintaining social distancing is important. Because in the first place, if they do not understand as to why they are being kept at home for so many days together, they will be very frustrated. Their stress levels will be very high. They're not being allowed to go outside and play, even for very young children. They're not meeting their classmates. They're not meeting their contemporaries. So we have to explain to them, this is the scenario. And again, I repeat, this explanation has to be in an age and developmentally appropriate manner, so that they understand. We can tell, for very young children, we can actually create stories to tell them what COVID-19 is all about. For slightly older children who understand things, we can explain things to them. And it is also important for us to explain to them that this is not going to last forever. The more we follow the guidelines, the shorter these kind of times are going to be, perhaps. So that is one thing. The other thing is that apart from online classes, I think we must also teach them how to be independent now, because I have been telling all students that this is a golden opportunity for all of us to actually learn to be independent. Let's learn kitchen work. Let's learn how to keep the house clean. And more importantly, we as family members should be able to spend time with one another, which we never had in earlier times because we were too busy for that. So now we spend more time, quality time with one another, and thereby we focus on developing the relationships that we have at home. We now have time to develop our hobbies. Earlier we didn't have the time. And instead of the outdoor activities, we can now definitely play indoor games, and we have more of indoor activities, which can be playing Ludo, Carom, or for that matter, any other indoor game, or maybe, pursuing our hobbies. Apart from that, following a daily timetable for all students, it's very important. Sleeping on time, maybe by 10 or 11 at night, and having at least 8 hours of sleep, because sleep always reduces stress. And waking up in the morning, regular physical exercise, regular mental exercise in the form of meditation and yoga or mindfulness training, and having a timetable for eating healthy food, for your leisure activities, and for your online classes. Because when we talk about stress management, some of the reasons why we are more stressed out is because we don't know why we are restricting ourselves to our home. So we need to know that. And apart from that, another thing to manage stress, it is very important to avoid watching COVID-19 news round the clock. Right. To know about COVID-19 is important, But to be overburdened with a lot of information about the virus, about vaccine, about herd immunity, etc., children especially, they are not mature enough to be able to handle so much of information.
Yeah, they will not
So
be able to
that's how
process.
they should avoid watching such news, and maybe spend more time into more doing more positive activities like music, reading a book, or spending quality time with family members, etc. I think stress can be managed to a great extent that way.
Right. Okay. I'll come back to you, Dr. Sangeeta. There are a few queries that have come in.
Yes.
Ujjwal Chandra Bardalai has written in asking, will the new guidelines hamper completion of education syllabus? Uh, who would like to take that? Dr. BANASHREE?
Should not be. We have
Yeah.
already reduced it. The syllabus is already reduced by the CBSE. Syllabus is already
Yeah.
30%. Syllabus is reduced. So that is why after the reduction of syllabus, we have come up. They have come up with these new guidelines. So definitely they have thought about it after all the think
Considering the
into
process.
all these issues that they have come up with this policy.
Yeah, absolutely. In a way, like syllabus has been reduced by 30%. And if we have to bring in this guidelines of Pragyata, then if somehow the syllabus doesn't get finished, so the concerned board is willing to reduce it by 50% also. So as and when the things take up, they are going to do it according to it's a child-friendly educational system. So as and when how they can cope up, accordingly they will be doing it. So we will have to wait and watch how the things are happening.
Yeah, there is a lot of flexibility seen in the policymakers. Lots of flexibility.
Yes.
It's quite child-centric. The policies are quite child-centric.
Okay, so there is a question. What do you think about exams? Dr. MRIDUSMITA, would you like to take this about the exams?
Yeah, about exams, I would agree to what Dr. Sangeeta Datta said. The challenges are immense, and we just need to focus on positive psychology, like avoiding the negative news and also for possible. So those are essential. So exam, we cannot replace online the classrooms or the process of assessment for the time being, because we know it's not a choice, it's a compulsion, as Banashree ma'am said. At the same time, this is we all agree that online cannot be a replacement for physical classroom. That is undoubtedly the best. It serves all purpose. But now, what I remember is a very nice quote of John Wooden, who said, "Do not let what you cannot do interfere with what you can do." So I believe assessment, we have started with assessment. We are doing a little bit of weekly assessment. We are going on with our midterm assessment too. But we told children that it's nothing about to take stress. You have nothing to prove to anybody in the world. You have to prove yourself. So far possible with the flexibilities, and so far they are comfortable with the syllabus, course, whatever the portion we have decided. So we have always taken their consent, so that they are not into stress. We take care of their stress, because if we do not take the assessment, if we really put a complete full stop on it, then it might happen children might not take the learning process seriously. So at least our motive is let them learn whatever they can, because challenges are there, we know, and the sole purpose of education is to transform these challenges into cheer. So we say the students that there's a lot of issues like how much authentic it is, there will be scope for cheating, these and that. So we are carrying out all the possible processes so far possible, so that students evolve and we also evolve with experiences, because it's a process. We are learning, we are evolving every day with the experiences. What Sangeeta ma'am told about policymakers really need to think. We are actually bringing change in every moment of our decision. So it's essential. We have to take care so that they are not stressed. We cannot ignore assessment. We have to do.
Okay. There's this very important question that has come in from Atrey Sharma. The question is, how will a student with special needs, particularly visually handicapped, do online classes? Dr. Rashmi Barua, would you like to take this? And then this question goes to all of you, in fact, because this is a very important thing. What about the specially able child? What about the visually impaired?
Yeah, it will be a big challenge for them. In fact, it will just not be possible for them to do it. But in that case, I feel your exam learning is not everything. Sometimes it happens in the life. To become a good citizen, it's nothing like that. You will have to appear that exam. You will have to get good marks. So by chance, if there are some students who all are visually challenged, maximum what they can do, the parents can help them. And otherwise, they should not take the things. They should not take stress. They can just live this game. And it's just a message from my side to them. That history says this kind of situation it exists for some time. Like if you go back to 1920, that time also it was there for 1 year. After that, it has become over. So we have to be patient. We have to wait some time, and then we have to go according. So those people, it's not required for them to take stress for that.
All right. I'll come back to you, Dr. Rashmi Barua. Yeah, Dr. BANASHREE, your thoughts on this
Yeah,
particular?
see, for the visually impaired students, like you don't have to worry because audio things are there. So when the lecture is being done, they can easily hear. And for examination purpose, we can take a viva for them or a group discussion. So they are in a positive trend. So they don't have to worry about their physical incapacity. So that is what I want to do.
Right. So here's another question. Yes, Dr. MRIDUSMITA.
I'd just like to add, like in our school, we have one child with this one autism problem. So there, like only one teacher is specially dealing with the child. Okay, like for the student, the question paper is different, its time slot is different. The teacher takes a call with him, the student, and explains all the questions. So the personal touch, so far possible, has to be given to that child with special needs.
Okay, so there's this other query that has come in. How does a child appear for online exams, and as parents, how is it possible to create an exam hall scenario at home? Dr. BANASHREE.
It is very difficult because I can understand parents are also facing a lot of problem because they are sharing their bedrooms and all these things are there. But at the same time, for that purpose, for that day, they can vacate the area for the child, and then the child can easily have a confined atmosphere where they can do the examination. Plus, the atmosphere should be developed in the household also. That you are giving an exam, it's equally important, although it is visual exam, but it is that importance should be inflicted by the parents also. That will create a lot of positive essence in the child.
Okay. Before I bring in Kasturi, another student, she is a B.Ed, a fourth sem student. She's studying in USTM. Before I bring Kasturi in, I would like to get this question across to Dr. Sangeeta Datta. What about this? The question has come from Debargha Roy. Debargha has written in again. Some thoughts on how parents can facilitate a better learning environment. Of course, if any of our educators wants to take this question, please feel free. Dr. Rashmi Barua, MRIDUSMITA Datta, any one of you, Meher, if you guys would like to respond to this particular question.
Yes, parents can definitely facilitate, and they are already facilitating. Otherwise, online classes wouldn't have been possible. Because when we talk about online classes, what we need to understand is the student here is in a home environment, and the student is connecting with the teacher through internet. So therefore, the home environment that we are talking about, maybe the room in which the student is seated for the online classes, has to be noise free. It has to be comfortable, because now it's summer also. So it has to be comfortable. It has to be as far as noise free as possible. There has to be minimal distraction in the room. And apart from that, since we were also talking about differently able children, and I would like to mention here about some intellectually challenged children or children having attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or for that matter autism, etc. So parents may have to, or also for very young children, parents may have to sit with their kids during the online classes, because some children, because of their intellectual disability, or because they have a specific learning disability, or because they have attention deficit hyperactivity problem, they're very hyperactive, they cannot sit in one place for a long time and attend classes. So in such situations, I think parents, and also for very young children, parents may have to sit for half an hour with them while the classes are going on, so that they receive assistance from their parents also. The environmental issues are there, assistance from parents is there, and of course parents will always have to reinforce these students, if they show the right kind of behavior, so reinforce them with some proper rewards in terms of appreciation, a hug, a kiss, etc. Mostly non-material rewards. So those things will have to be practiced by parents if online classes have to be really fruitful. That's there. And for older children, what I would like to mention, the role of parents here, a lot of parents have spoken to me regarding this. They say that some of the adolescents, they say that they are attending online classes, but they are actually maybe playing video games or something, or maybe they are maybe onto online pornography or etc. Because I've faced parents have come to my clinic with these issues. So in such cases, what needs to be understood is that there has to be a relationship of trust between parents and children. It is not just about online classes, it is about life in general. And this relationship of trust has to be inculcated from a very young age. It again talks about, we have to go back to upbringing issues. So that is there. So what is called trust cannot be developed overnight. That is one thing. And I personally and professionally do not believe in the chore police game, between parents and children, because it is not nice, So apart from that, nowadays, of course, with a lot of online classes happening, there are new apps which have been developed. So these apps actually allow parents and teachers to monitor what students are exactly doing around maybe at a particular point. So these apps are there, so they can be monitored. But again, having said all this, maybe some people will have to monitor their kids through apps which have been recently developed because of online classes. But I think it's again ultimately about having a relationship of mutual trust, respect, and understanding between parents and children, between teachers and children, so that there has to be honesty and trust ultimately, so that children also are responsible and accountable for what they do, and discipline has to be practiced properly. This is not only during COVID-19. When we talk about discipline, it has to be democratic discipline, where children are given rights, but they are also given responsibilities. So I think these kind of practices will actually ease out the whole process and will make online learning also much easier.
Wonderful.
And parents will definitely, if they are good facilitators, I mean, in all these areas, managing the environment, being there sometimes when it is required, and also developing that relationship and inculcating that sense of accountability, responsibility in their children. I think they not only become good facilitators, but they become, they are companions, to these students in the entire learning process, and learning becomes easy and wonderful.
Wonderful. Yeah, it becomes more fun. Life becomes fun. In fact, it becomes
it does.
Yes, when you have your parents as your best friends. So,
yes.
Okay. Before we go any further, let me quickly bring in Kasturi. Kasturi is class 12 standard, she is a B.Ed 4th SEM student. She's studying in USTM. So just let's listen into Kasturi's experiences there. Okay, I think we are having a net issue with Kasturi. Okay, we will bring her in as and when she is able to connect with us. All right, going back to our discussion, I would like to hear from you, because no doubt about it, each one of you as teachers must be going through a lot of stress, because this, I'm sure, has not been easy for any one of you. And the sudden change and the pace at which everything is moving, just not giving any one of us to sit back and think or plan the way maybe each one of you would have loved to. So I would like to hear from you as teacher. What are your thoughts? We have all been talking all the while about the children, about the students. Let's hear about you guys, because I know it's been tough for each one of you. Let's start with Dr. Rashmi Bhalla.
Yeah. So regarding that, it's a big challenge for all of us. As I have told before, in fact, many of us told, when beginning it started, it was, we had to cope up with the online teaching, learning, evaluation, and all methodological structuring and all. So first we had to, adjust ourselves to with this online teaching. And then we had cope up. The students also, they were not very happy in the starting. Many of them were not flexible also. So again, we had to influence, or we had to convince students how to go ahead. And many students were having infrastructure problem. Many of our students were not having computers. So they used to call and used to tell us, ma'am, we cannot join your Zoom class because I'm not having my laptop. I got a sibling. He or she is using the laptop. So we used to get mentally, we teachers always feel happy when our students are happy. So when students used to come up with this kind of problems, we really used to get tensed out. And then again, poor network, that's a company we used to get from rural people. And many times it happens, especially ITs and MBA. So for MBA, your practical exposure, going to the, taking students for the industrial and all, very required. The student, they used to complain us, what will happen? What about the campus recruitment? Every year, this time, all industries used to come for the campus recruitment. This time, nothing like that. So students were very unhappy, and they used to call us and ask us. We were really mentally very stressed for that. Now somehow students also are understanding that this is unavoidable. Everywhere it is happening, all over the world, this is the scenario. So they are getting adjusted with the scenario now. So once they are understanding, we are also happy now.
All right. Dr. MRIDUSMITA, how has the whole thing changed, and how are you coping with the kind of stress that you must be going through?
Yeah, it's true. As a teacher, we have to go through a lot of stresses. It's true. It's a total new process. The first and foremost question was how to make the class effective, how to ensure that everybody is learning, actually undertaking, taking my class. And the most important difficulty I face is, I always tell to the students that when we are in the physical classroom, your eyes speaks the truth, and I can make out how much you can connect to the lesson and how much you couldn't. I can immediately revert back and call, talk to you, discuss. But here, the screen in between you and me is somewhere obstructing your connectivity, our connection. So we have to actually redesign our policies so that we can really connect to the students, and that has increased the stress a lot, because almost even after the class is not enough. We need to keep on answering their queries, their doubts over phone or through WhatsApp chat. So we are almost like it's a 24/7. We are there with them, and at the same time, like how to cope with the stress. The only thing that gives us a really to the stress is a break. Like last week, we had a break. Suddenly, our principal ma'am decided a break on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Sundays as usual, and there was no phone calls, no meetings. Suddenly, it helped us to relieve all our muscles and nerves. So even we are planning now that maybe as this process is going to continue, we cannot avoid it. We all are stressed. Whether you take parents have to do a lot of, they have to take a lot of responsibility now, because how to helping their kids in coping up with the classes, then online submission of assignment, they are taking care. So we are planning that maybe in every 2 months of session, let us have a break of suppose 1 week. Yesterday only we were discussing that, just to release the tension, because it's a stress for everybody, whether it is a parent, teacher, and student. That's we all agree. So we have to rethink and plan.
Yes, Meher.
Can I just
initially,
Yeah, after Meher, I'll come to you, Dr.
Yes,
Sangeeta.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. All right. Okay. When initially the classes had come to us, most of us, I think all the teachers here in the panel would agree to me. Most of the teachers, actually 90% of us, we are technologically impaired. We never heard of something like Zoom. We never heard something like Google Classroom. This is something totally new that had banged on our head all of a sudden. All right, it was a big bang on us. And then after that, as we started, it was a hit and trial method. It was a hit and trial method. We did not know how to use the device. If I click this, sometimes I would be out of the classroom as well. So, this was such a, sometimes it would be a funny situation. Sometimes it would be a big battle as to what happened to my device. Why am I being out of the class all of a sudden? What did I do? Where did I go wrong? So, because we were technologically impaired, most of us, yes, of course, me as well. It was very difficult for us to cope up with that initially, right? And at the same time, we are talking about stress. Stress is manifold here. We are not having any fixed working hours. No fixed working hours here. We were working. There were fixed working hours in a physical classroom. We worked. We came out, and then there was, of course, professionally, we are always into our institution. We are always, our hearts and minds are always into the institution. But then, when we were having our normal classes, we had our normal working hours. Here, what happens, even though we are not doing the classes, there is something behind the mind, something working behind the mind as to it is behind the mind. What are we going to come next? What is next that is going to come up, right? And how are we going to deal with that? Every day is a challenge. Every minute is a challenge. Every minute is a brainstorming session for all of us as teachers. I would just like to add another thing, as in certain families, logistic issues. If I would say, there are certain families where there are siblings, the parents working, and then they're like the children, there are siblings, and they have to share devices, or they are all working at the same time. They have classes at the same time. So those are, again, where do you create those secluded atmospheres for each and every child in that family? We do not have such big bungalows where we have, I mean, like normally I'm saying, yes, people might have, but I'm normally saying, so it create an environment for each and every child in such a family. Also, it becomes difficult, right? So every day, as I say, is a challenge for teachers, for families, for students, everyone.
Right. Quickly to Dr. Sangeeta, request you to keep it brief because I'm really running short of time. And then finally, I would like to go to Dr. BANASHREE.
Just like to tell you, every cloud has a silver lining. So, like teachers have said, even some students would tell you that earlier they were not so techno savvy, but maybe COVID-19 has made us, techno savvy. So let's look at the silver lining. Another thing is that if there is one smartphone or one device at home, I think people have also learned the beauty of sharing a device with other family members. So that's there. This reminds me of George Bernard Shaw, who said, you see things and say why, but I dream of things that never were and say why not. So change is the most constant thing in life. And yes, we are going through a lot of changes, but let's accept the changes. And that way we become more resilient as teachers, as parents, as children. We become more resilient, and trust me, the more resilient we are, the less vulnerable we are to develop mental ailments like depression or anxiety or even getting burnt out. So let's accept things as they are. Let's live in the present. And if we live well in the present, I'm sure we are heading towards a beautiful future. And instead of asking why, let's start asking why not. And then things will be easy.
I would have loved to end it on that note, but I want to hear from Dr. BANASHREE about the stress and how she has been coping with this new change that has just taken everybody by storm. Dr. BANASHREE.
Yeah, I totally agree with all of you all, because even I'm stressed, to be very frank. Right from adapting to the technology, and from 6:30 to 12:30, you are on the line all the time because students have so much of queries. Even after the classes are over, they're asking you so many things. You have to settle them. And then the added thing of getting your ration and your maid not coming, these things, tackling everything and self-motivating was an issue. But we are running through it. We are still okay with it, and we will learn through it. And I'm so happy that Dr. Sangeeta has given us a lot of insights how we can be motivated and stay happy. But this thing is really stressful, to be very, very honest.
Yes, though I'm sure we had a lot more issues to discuss and talk about. Maybe we will have another round of a similar kind of a lovely conversation. And I would really like to end this particular show on the note of, repeating what Dr. Sangeeta has said, but let's ask ourselves, instead of asking why, let's start asking why not. And always look at that silver lining, which is always there behind the clouds. So lovely having all you ladies on the show one more time. And thanks to all the students who were there to join me today. Thank you. And thank my viewers for watching the show. Thank you so much. We wish each of you all the best. And really thanks each of our teachers for being there for us and doing that great, wonderful job, because without each one of you, we would have not been what we are today. Thank you. Thanks to all our teachers. Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Thank you so much, Vinita. Thank you.